Okay, let's dive into this explainer. Today, we're taking a close look at a truly pivotal chapter in the story of Private Peaceful, a chapter called 10 to Midnight. And what's absolutely fascinating about this section of the narrative is how it masterfully frames these quiet, seemingly ordinary childhood skirmishes as a direct precursor to the devastating, earth-shattering realities of war. I mean, the themes of loyalty, rebellion, desertion, and mortality, they're all taking root right here in the peaceful English countryside. For anyone wanting to understand how a soldier's mindset is forged long before they ever put on a uniform, well, this chapter is absolutely essential.
We're going to anchor our explainer today with this midnight reflection from our narrator, Tomo. Picture him lying awake in the dark, contemplating Jesus' suffering on the cross, and wrestling with why an almighty God would allow such cruelty. He's really digging into the very concept of heaven and mortality. It's this profound, heavy, wartime tone that hangs over the entire narrative like a shadow. It tells us right out of the gate that the stakes in Tomo's mind are incredibly high, and it reminds us how a sudden awareness of mortality changes literally everything about how we view our youth.
Section 1. The Poaching Skirmish. A disastrous night.
Up until now, Tomo, his older brother Charlie, and their friend Molly were this unbreakable trio, a perfectly functioning unit. But with their lucky charm Molly, bedridden with scarlet fever, their system just totally fails on the front lines. Let's move to and see how this builds. So they have perfect conditions for poaching. No wind, bright moonlight. But Tomo, who's tasked with keeping watch, falls deeply asleep at his post. Next thing he knows, a dog is snuffling his neck, and old Lambert the bailiff is dragging him to his feet. Meanwhile, Charlie is caught red-handed right in the river. But here is the critical character moment for Charlie. He could have dropped the nets, made a run for it, and escaped. But he doesn't. He absolutely refuses to retreat and leave his brother behind.
So they're marched at gunpoint to the big house and locked in the stables, pretty much like prisoners of war. The next morning, they face this brutal tribunal. Grandma Wolf, who basically runs the estate now, berates them as an absolute disgrace. Then the colonel steps in. Acting as his own magistrate, he sentences them to a brutal physical hiding the following morning at 10 o'clock sharp, followed by indefinite kennel duty.
But you know what? They did not account for Mother. When the boys go home and confess to her, her reaction is nothing short of fierce, wartime-esque defiance against the colonel's absolute authority. She flat out rejects the violent punishment. "Over my dead body," she says, and she actually marches up to the big house the next day, and through sheer, mysterious diplomatic willpower, successfully negotiates away the physical beating. The boys still have to clean the kennels every weekend until Christmas, but her line in the sand firmly holds.
Now, what's really interesting here is how a punishment actually turns into a pivotal emotional connection. While they're scrubbing the kennels under the constant, gloating supervision of the newly empowered wolfwoman, they meet Bertha. Bertha is this beautiful, mostly white foxhound with one brown foot. She gazes up at them with total adoration. And for Tomo, looking into Bertha's heather honey-colored eyes is a constant, comforting reminder of Molly, who is of course still away recovering.
Section 2. Growing up and apart. An emotional battlefield.
So, Molly eventually recovers, but she's changed. Her hair is cut short, the plaits are gone, and it stirs this new, unfamiliar love in Tomo. And this brilliantly illustrates the sudden, agonizing divide that opens up between them. Tomo is basically left behind, trapped in the trenches of the village school, dreading every single day under the tyrannical Mr. Munnings. Meanwhile, Charlie and Molly have crossed over into the adult working world at the big house. They're working 6 days a week, they share inside jokes, they discuss adult scandals about the colonel and the wolfwoman. Tomo tries to share his schoolyard struggles, but he quickly realizes he is now an outsider in his own family.
The fracture becomes undeniably visible one day down by the brook. Tomo turns and sees Charlie and Molly walking away through the water meadows, holding hands. Now, they had all held hands before, but Tomo knows instantly that this is different. It's an incredibly heartbreaking realization. The unbreakable trio has shattered. Tomo feels this deep, agonizing grief, realizing the harsh truth of growing up. Nothing stays the same. It's that universal moment of loss we all go through when childhood alliances naturally shift and dissolve.
Section 3. The arrival of the yellow aeroplane. A moment of magic.
But amidst all this growing distance and angst, the narrative briefly lightens up. They're down by the brook when they hear a strange engine. It's definitely not the colonel's car. Circling above them is their very first flying machine. A yellow aeroplane comes bouncing and bumping right into the meadow, scattering the cows everywhere. The pilot, wearing these big goggles, is utterly lost and actually has to ask Charlie for directions.
After Charlie points him toward Iddlesley, the laughing pilot tosses them a bag of humbug sweets as a thank you before taking off and barely clipping the hedges as he roars over their heads.
It is a surreal, almost unbelievable encounter. As they lie breathless in the grass, just watching a skylark, Charlie fairly divides the pilot's humbugs. The math works out perfectly. They get exactly 5 sweets each. 5 for Tomo, 5 for Charlie, 5 for Molly, and he even makes sure to save 5 for their older brother, Big Joe. As Molly says, as long as they have the humbugs, they can prove the magic was real.
Section 4. Defying the Cruel Teacher. A Minor Skirmish.
But of course, the magic is short-lived, and we are violently pulled back to Tomo's grim reality at school, where a minor skirmish proves his internal armor is really thickening up. Tomo makes the rookie mistake of bragging about the sweets. Someone snitches. The cruel Mr. Munnings, a man who genuinely believes suffering is good for a child's soul, confiscates Tomo's last 3 humbugs. He drags Tomo to the front of the class and delivers 6 vicious strokes of the ruler, sharp edge down, right onto his knuckles. But watch Tomo's reaction here. He doesn't cry. He doesn't look away. He just stares Munnings straight in the eye in silent, sullen defiance. The pain is intense, sure, but the rebellion? That makes him feel invincible.
Section 5. Saving Bertha the Hound. A Massive Rebellion.
So the crucial point is, all of these smaller acts of defiance, Mother standing up to the Colonel, Tomo staring down his teacher, they're all building toward a dangerous climax. That night, Tomo is lying awake in bed. His knuckles are just throbbing from the ruler. He wants desperately to talk to his older brother, to bridge that gap that's formed between them. He even considers telling Charlie's deepest, darkest secret about their father's death. But before he can even get a word out, Charlie whispers into the darkness in a panic, "Tomo, I'm in trouble."
And the catalyst for this trouble? The Colonel. Earlier that day, the Colonel ordered Charlie to shoot Bertha, the beloved foxhound with the heather honey eyes. Why? Simply because she was getting a bit old, a bit slow, and had wandered off during the hunt. When Charlie begged for her life, pleading that she was his absolute favorite, the Colonel coldly dismissed it as sentimental claptrap, reducing the sweet animal to just a dumb beast. Faced with this cruel, absolute authority, Charlie makes his choice. He commits the ultimate act of desertion. Instead of following a heartless order, he steals the Colonel's property. He takes Bertha after dark, sneaks her through the trees, and hides her in an old shack in Ford's Cleave Wood. He crosses a massive, terrifying line to save an innocent life. And this matters immensely because it shows us exactly who Charlie is, a young man who will choose love and moral conviction over blind obedience to orders every single time.
The chapter ends right where it began, with Tomo lying awake in the dark, absolutely consumed by dread. He hardly sleeps a wink. Every sound outside, a screeching fox, an owl hooting, makes him jump, terrified that Bertha has been discovered. And we really have to ask ourselves, in a world ruled by men like the Colonel, who demand absolute obedience and punish defiance so ruthlessly, what will be the fallout of Charlie's rebellion? Can a soldier who breaks rank for love ever truly escape the firing squad? Keep that thought with you as we close this explainer. Thanks for joining me.